Hello and welcome to another SkaredCast battle report. Today, across the ruins of an ancient civilization, the Space Marines and Dark Eldar will face off in this maelstrom of war, cloak and shadows. Let's begin. Welcome to another battle report. Today we have the Space Marines, Sentinels of Terra, is facing off against the Dark Eldar competitive list. 1,500 points, playing on a fantastic looking table. We have an old school paper bunker from GW. I had to put that on the table because it looks cool. And we're playing Vanguard Strike, Cloak, and Shadows. And we have one Rhino over here. That is, I placed that objective there, that's that Rhino. We have the bunker that is important, it is a grab well generator. We have this pyramid is important, and of course, this pyramid is also important. We have the ammo stores at the back, where we have the Grotesques with the Autarch, and then two Ravagers with triple lances and the Warp Spiders that are deployed out of the line of sight of the suppression force whirlwinds and out of range, even out of range of the helping land speeder squadron. Another objective there. We have a sky-firing missile launcher ignoring cover with the Librarian Psychic Powers Devastator squad there. We have a 5-man tactical squad, combat squad in that Razorback. We have a Prometheum relay pipe with a combat squad with a combi flamer in reserve. The Space Marines have 3 drop pods, a full tactical squad with plasma, combi plasma, a HQ tactical squad with a dedicated drop pod with Sergeant Garo in there, so 3 wounded character with a flamer. We also have 3 Assault Centurions with twin link flamers in a fast attack drop pod, and this is the combat squad that is in that Razorback. In reserve, the Dark Eldar decided to reserve their Razorwing. 8 Cavalites in a Raider. 3 Venoms with Blaster Cavalites. A Walking Lamian. The Grotesques with the Autarch are in the Raider, outflanking Warwalkers and the Jet Bikes. I did get Labyrinthine Cunning for my Warlord trait, while the Space Marines got target priority, or they get to reroll 1s when shooting. And it is night fight across the battlefield, whereas the Space Marines have decided they would like to try and go first. So, I do have Labyrinthine Cunning. So for cinematic value, I will attempt to seize the initiative. And first, good game, sir. Let's start. And initiative is seized. Dark Eldar, turn 1. The Dark Eldar seize the initiative on the Space Marine forces and advance. 2 Ravagers opening fire, killing 1 of the spotting land speeders for the suppression force. Meanwhile, High Command has ordered to secure Objective 1, and the Grotesque Raider has moved up to secure it, while High Command also ordered us to secure Objective 3, which we have captured as well. Domination, an early domination was pulled, which I have discarded in order to be able to draw 3 cards next turn. So now the Space Marines, taken on the back foot, will retaliate with 2 drop pods screaming down from the skies. Space Marines held firm while the Librarian twin-linked his Devastators and made them ignore cover. 2 of them could see the Ravager, they blew it out of the sky. This drop pod with the Centurions tried to land here where this drop pod is to flame the occupants in the Raider, but a bad scatter put the occupants out of range. They did try and shoot at the Warp Spiders that were here. They blinked back. This Ravager is still operational, and this combat squad tried to kill this Raider, and they succeeded in stopping it from shooting and putting 2 hull points on it, but it is still alive. So we're moving, and then the Space Marines captured Objective 4, captured Objective 5, and took no prisoners by destroying the Ravager. So we're moving on to Dark Eldar, turn 2. and we have reserves to arrive with Labyrinthine Cunning and the Autarch. So, the Warwalkers, they will arrive. The Eldar Jetbikes, they will stay off the board. The Warrior units in a Raider, they will arrive. The 3 units of Cabalite Trueborn in Venice, I will add +1 to both of these so they arrive. The Razorwing Jet Fighter arrives, and the Lamian does not arrive, and I will keep her off the table. So moving on to turn 2. What an eventful turn. High Command has ordered us to do a couple of objectives, but we were able to secure objective 6 with a 2 boosting raider with the grotesques. And then we did capture that. Then we also had an objective I haven't done before, which is death by 1,000 cuts. It's a Dark Eldar objective. It says, score 1 victory point at the end of your turn if at least 1 model was removed as a casualty from at least 3 different enemy units. If at least 1 model was removed as a casualty from 6 or more different enemy units, score D3 points. So I removed a model from the Whirlwinds, I removed a model from the Devastators, I removed a model from this combat squad, I removed a model from the Centurions, I removed a model from this combat squad, and I completely annihilated that combat squad right there. So, death by 1,000 cuts has awarded the Dark Eldar 3 points.
I knew you'd do that too.
Yeah. The Dark Eldar know what they want. We did have a lot of reserves coming on. The Lamian and the Jetbikes didn't show up, but the Warwalkers outflanked to kill one of the Whirlwinds to prevent that squadron upgrade, and the Venom killed a couple of Devastators. The Landspeeder has lost its heavy bolter, but it is functional for the unlimited range help on the Whirlwinds. And these 2 units that were left failed their morale, and they have decided to run away, only to come back another day. So we do have Garo's drop pod unit to try and come in, and we will roll to see if it does. It does indeed. Another tactical squad comes on the board. Garo's drop pod landed here, and then the Flamer wounded the grotesques 6 times, killed a grotesque inside, while Garo's ignored cover bolt pistol finished off that 1 raider. The Centurions moved up, and they failed a charge. Then the Tactical Marines failed to do anything against this Ravager, even by charging through terrain in a grab well. All 3 crack grenades missed horribly. High Command sent them to secure Objective 1 and sent them to destroy a tank and kill a unit, so they completely got a point there as well.
No, it did not destroy 3 units.
Cool.
Close though.
And then in shooting, a lot of Tactical Marines, and then the Vengeance Missiles killed 1 Walker, put 1 wound on the other one. It's just a glancing hit. And the Flak Missile, ignoring cover, Devastators, immobilized my Razorwing, and it crashed and burned to the ground. So we're moving on to Dark Eldar turn 3. We have the Eldar Jetbikes that will come onto the table, and we have the Lamian that will come onto the table with a +1. Turn 3. High Command ordered me to Trophy Hunter, which means my opponent had to nominate a character and an objective. He nominated Objective 4 and nominated Sergeant Garo. In the shooting and close combat, I killed 6 out of the Marines, but Garo refused a challenge against the Autarch, which meant he prevented instant death, so he lived. Then they ran away from combat, while the Eldar Jetbikes took Objective 4 for 1 point. I was able to stun 1 of the Whirlwinds, and I wasn't able to charge there, so the Whirlwinds are still at large. I did take Objective 5, which was by High Command orders, and I took Objective 2, which gives me another 3 points, so brings my total up to 9 points to my opponent's 7 points. I put 1 more wound on the Centurions, and my Warp Spiders Hammer of Wrath that unit of Marines to death. So we're moving on to Space Marine turn 3. Let's see what they can do after this. The last of the Warwalkers went down, exploded, putting another hull point on one of the Whirlwinds. This raider went down, and the unit is pinned. The Grotesques finally died, but all the Centurions died in the combat, and Garo finished off the Autarch with his Power Fist, while this Landspeeder made the Warp Spiders the target of the Whirlwinds, but the Warp Spiders blinked and got within an inch of this drop pod to prevent the Whirlwind from firing. And then one hull point was dealt on this Venom. Other than that, we're moving on to turn 4 for the Dark Eldar. What will happen? We had lots of shooting. 2 Venoms worth, kill 1 Devastator Marine. The jet bikes killed the 2 Marines with fire, and we killed the Landspeeder. Warp Spiders killed 1 Marine. This Venom boosted and that Ravager boosted to claim behind enemy lines with 3 models. So we have claimed behind enemy lines with 3 models. So I get D3 victory points for a 1. And I will be discarding Psychological Warfare. So we're moving on to turn 4 for the Space Marines. It's 12 points to 10 points, favoring the Space Marines.
I don't get
1
anything.
jet bike died. No points were scored by the Space Marines. And this Venom died, while the Gravwell generator prevented Garo from assaulting the unit. We're moving on to Dark Eldar turn 5. It is 10 points to the Dark Eldar, 12 points to the Space Marines. It could be the end of the game. Let's see what happens. They got out. That boosted up. These guys took objective 4, which is what High Command had hoped for. Put 1 wound on the Razorback. Tried to kill this drop pod, and it's surviving with 1 hull point remaining, whereas Sergeant Garo is alive with 1 hull point remaining, and I have lost my Exarch in the Warp Spider unit. We're moving on to Space Marine turn 5. Could be the end of the game. 5. We had the Space Marines try and take out that Venom and fail. And then everything was banking on these 2 warriors dying, but he was unable to kill them. The Warp Spiders failed to hit and run, and they are now bogged down with Garo. So, what will happen? It is turn 5. It is 13 points with Linebreaker to 13 points with Linebreaker. It is a down the middle draw. What will happen? The game is over. It is a draw. Wow, what a crazy game. Thank you so much, sir. This has been fantastic. Make sure you stay tuned for the Tactical Corner. Once again, this is Black Knight Games in Hamilton, Ontario, Canada. They are fantastic tables and terrain. Sir, any last comments?
Probably not drop podding the guys completely into that back corner. Maybe actually having the both tactical squads and saving the Centurions for turn 2.
Yeah, the Centurions are there for the cool Prometheum relay pipe, so they can use their torrent flamers. So that's kind of cool. Okay, thanks a lot for tuning in. This is Skari, your great host, and stay tuned for the next battle report. Also, check out the link below for other cool content and the Patreon page. This is Skari, out. Hello and welcome to another Tactical Corner. So, I was playing against a very cool Space Marine army with a lot of ignore cover weapons, templates, flamers, large blast whirlwinds, a lot of stuff that my army is not very fond of, something I didn't really want to have to deal with. Now, playing a Maelstrom of War mission on a fantastic looking table, lots of line of sight blocking terrain, some open areas. The only reason I really want to use this table is because the old school 2nd edition paper bunker that looked amazing. So in my first turn, I did deploy out of range of every single weapon except for some drop pods if the Space Marines decided to drop right in front of me. And then I proceeded to seize the initiative. All this meant was that I was going to prevent a turn of shooting from the Space Marines, and I would be able to get my second turn when his drop pods had committed to wherever they were committing to. So on my first turn, grabbed a few objectives, hunkered down, and then the drop pods arrived. And it was Centurions, which sadly for him had a bad scatter, and I was able to maximize on the damage done when my reserves arrived. Warwalkers targeting the whirlwinds to make them less scary, and then just picking apart different parts of the enemy army as possible. My opponent played fantastically, always in contention throughout the entire game, picking his targets appropriately, using the tools that he had available, and never giving up regardless of the situation that he was in, always trying to get the upper leg in the game. My Warwalkers were definitely a thorn in his side with the three whirlwinds that were in the back there. And then the big unit of Tactical Marines with Garo, never actually used him before, was not objective secured. This came to bite him later in the game when I had a unit of Cabalite Warriors that were objective secured, taking an objective from them. My Warp Spiders were once again phenomenal, even wrapping around a drop pod when targeted by the whirlwinds to prevent the whirlwinds from being able to target them, as a blast weapon can't clip friendly models. It's a little trick that I like to use. All in all, a great game against another hard Space Marine list, and this very eclectic Dark Eldar army I'm playing with has proven itself worthy. It was a draw at the end, which meant it was very close. Thanks for watching.